Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. Today we're talking about Morbius being delayed yet again, theaters continuing to close across Ontario, and we discuss the latest teaser for The Boys Season 3. All this and everything else that happened this week in Geek.
Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hello, I'm J-Law, but you can call me Justin. And if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things geek-centric. And today, we're starting the year off with something new. For those who have been here before, you'll know that we've had consistent episodes in the past that allowed us geeks to discuss all the latest news and trailers that would have dropped. But we got a little busy last year. 2021, we focused on bringing more review-based content to the channel, and we will continue to do so. But much like the Jedi mindset that we believe in, there must be balance. So today, we're introducing This Week in Geek, our weekly episode covering the latest news and trailers from all things geek-centric. Today, I'm joined by one of our two lovely co-hosts, Kevin Hudson. How are you, man?
I'm doing really well, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Are you excited to bring back the news and trailer convo?
Yeah, I mean, the way we live the world of movies and television has been disrupted so much over the last 2 years because of the pandemic. And we're starting this year off in a very similar fashion, unfortunately. But I like the idea of doing the show and immersing ourselves more into that stuff and making,
absolutely,
making it feel a little bit more normal if we can.
Absolutely. Like 2021 allowed us to really kind of flush out a lot more review-based content. Again, like I said, just strengthening our ability to talk more critically about movies and how to talk about it is very new for us. And we're totally grateful for it. And we want to continue to do that. But there's so much that does tend to happen within the world of pop culture when it comes to the news and the trailers that we see. And with that, we are also going to be bringing back What Ya. So, Kev, what you been up to? What have you been enjoying? Anything that you want to share?
I've had it recommended to me multiple times, and so I finally saddled up. I hopped on my horse, and I binged the hell out of Yellowstone and loved every single second of it.
Kevin Costner as a cowboy, man.
Oh,
I've only heard great things about it. It's
so good. I don't know. Did you watch Sons of Anarchy?
No, I've heard it's like Sons of Anarchy, even
on
a
horses.
bit of like, yeah, on horses. I know that, and then also the other analogy I heard too was maybe a bit of like the Breaking Bad or even an Ozark. It has all those tropes that you might see from that series. So I know I would probably be really into it. I think it's just sitting down and doing it. And apparently, like season 3 is just really, really good. So
yeah, I just finished season 4, which just came out over the last couple weeks, and I have to say it was a little bit slower, a little bit underwhelming compared to what was a terrific season 3, but it was still just thoroughly engaging. Rip Wheeler, played by Cole Hauser, is easily my favorite character on television since probably Game of Thrones. So watching him was a lot of fun, and as you said, Kevin Costner as a cowboy, you can't go wrong there. So it's just funny how many parallels I could draw to Sons of Anarchy, and what it really did is showed me that I could never be a cowboy, but it is really cool to watch these men be men and do all that hard work for me. I don't think I'd last a day out on the Yellowstone Ranch, let me tell you. So very much like Sons of Anarchy, I was happy to watch dudes
to live vicariously
on bikes and do that stuff. They can take care of that for me. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I should check it out. I've been told by numerous people. Check it out.
Thoroughly recommend it. The writing is just incredible. Just some really great moments earned and justified by these characters over the 4 seasons.
Awesome. For my What Ya, it is going to be something I watched. I watched it over the holiday season. I actually did a marathon. Then I watched this, and now I'm amongst doing the marathon again, just because it was so good. And that is the Harry Potter 20th anniversary Return to Hogwarts. This was fantastic. I feel like this is how reunion special should go. It gave you the cast reuniting while also giving you like sort of peek behind the curtain about what went into making these movies and their relationship. And my only thing is that I think it could have been longer, and it didn't need to be like one movie sort of event. It could have maybe told the story through like a mini series, right? Kind of exploring and spending a little bit more time. Almost if you wanted to, even my wife was saying, dedicating it as an episode per movie. There could have been more that could have been explored because it was really good.
Yeah, it definitely focused on the three main characters first and foremost,
sure.
which definitely makes sense. But
yeah.
I totally agree. I would have loved even more. Anytime they were presenting what, at least for me, was new information about the thought process that went into filming a certain scene or watching the young actors grow up into these excellent young actors from starting as children. That stuff was all really, really fascinating. I definitely would have watched more if they had presented it as such. I mean, I think it relied a little heavily on showing clips from the movies at times, but that was important in sort of establishing what we were talking about and what we were looking at. And so while, maybe an episode per movie would have been great, at least they did go through each of the movies in order, and we saw the evolution of the series. It was a really nice reward after having just watched the movies ourselves.
Yeah, and how they broke up the movies first and foremost. Like, it was like the kid's story. It was the family adventure for the first two, and then it was like the coming of age for 3 and 4. And you see that. You can actually see that through the movies and the way they were. And having like Chris Columbus sort of kickstart this all, who obviously Home Alone 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. He is so rooted in, and he gets called out for being such a great collaborator with the kids. And the clips that they did show, their first screen test together, when they put Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, and Daniel Radcliffe together as kids to just do a scene and how they fed off of each other. I was like, wow, that was their first time doing it. Like, that felt really natural. So it makes sense as to why this trio was selected. So yeah, I really loved it. It had me crying at the end. First with Robbie Coltrane's, he's very self-reflexive. It seems like he's looking back at his life and understanding that while he may not be here, Hagrid will forever be here. And I thought that was just so much. And then ending the reunion with the note of Snape, like that, really, I was bawling. I couldn't believe it. It was just everything. So after that, me and my wife, like I said, we watched it, the entire thing. We watched the reunion, and now we're at Order of the Phoenix right now on the rewatch, second time.
I mean, I will certainly watch it again, and it is almost a nice thing to watch after finishing the movies now. I think that's the order. I'll do that every time now, is watch that reunion special, because it just leaves you feeling a bit better than the last couple movies are pretty darn heavy, especially when compared to the earlier ones. So I think this is a nice little note of brevity to sort of ease off the Harry Potter journey on the annual trip that I seem to take with it.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this week's What Ya. I think it's time for some news. What do you say, Kev? You want to get into some news?
Let's get into some news.
It's all about the details.
All right. Well, our first news story comes from Deadline, and it's from Anthony D'Alessandro. Cineplex lays off 5,000 part-time workers over short term while Ontario cinemas are closed. Canada's number one movie theater chain, Cineplex, has pink-slipped close to 5,000 part-time workers given Ontario's recent decision to close cinemas amid the Omicron surge. Cineplex closed their theaters in Canada province-wide, effective as of January 6th. They were stating, because of the mandated closure of our theater and entertainment venues across Ontario, we made the tough but necessary decision to once again temporarily lay off our part-time workforce, impacting nearly 5,000 roles. We are eager to get our team back to work once all of this is over. Temporary closures of the cinemas in Ontario is expected to last until January 28th. Cineplex plans to hire part-time staff back at that point of when they reopen. The upside is obviously the staffers can, take advantage of the unemployment subsidies in Canada, hopefully. As we know, Cineplex here in Canada operates 67 multiplexes in Ontario. In Quebec, they're closed as well. I don't know if the same could be said about all the other provinces. I don't believe so. I think they've reduced capacity. So it makes sense.
I mean, it certainly has disrupted the release schedule for the next month or so. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Scream franchise, and so that is obviously in doubt. I have no idea if they're going to be pushing it back or if it's still going to get released in the States.
It seems like it's still on track to be released in the States because, again, in the States, they are not closing theaters. Obviously don't know what each state is doing, but I could see them at least doing what some of the provinces are doing here in Canada, where it's reduced attendance, right? It's scaling it down.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the case. And even for us, I think this will be the shortest lockdown of the three. I'm hoping by the end of the month things can sort of get back to normal. But it does, make you think about these poor workers who are out of work once again. It just shows the really personal impacts that these closures can have beyond us not being able to go to theaters. These people can't go to work, and so that's
the bigger thing here. Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I feel like, again, hopefully there are options for them, as the article outlines here, that they'd be able to take advantage of some government subsidies. So we'll see. We'll not necessarily something that we know too much about. But what we do know is that more movies are being delayed. And the first on this is, of course, Morbius. This article comes from Brett Lang from Variety. Sony Pictures will move the release of Morbius by 3 months. The studio has issued a statement. The film, as part of the Sony Spider-Man cinematic universe, and not to be confused with the Disney's MCU, but it is now moved from January 28th to April 1st of 2022. Now, it's not the first time or the second time or the third time that Morbius has been postponed. The film was supposed to debut July 10th of 2020, but COVID had other ideas and plans in store for it. As the pandemic continued to rage, Morbius cycled through various dates. It was July 31st, 2020, then March 19th, 2021, then October 8th, 2021, finally moving to January 21st, 2022, before shifting yet again to January 28th, 2022, which it's now vacated. So Omicron has definitely stopped this movie dead in its track. The film is obviously starring Jared Leto. He's playing Michael Morbius, the anti-hero who is struggling with a disorder and seeks the help of a bat or several bats to correct his ways. But there's also a lot of rumors surrounding this, right? Like maybe there's some faces that are going to be added to that. So I wanted to get your take. What do you think? What do you think about this move?
I think if it is for reasons such as what you're suggesting, that maybe we'll get a cameo from the Spider-Man movie to sort of attach it to a different Spider-Man universe than the Marvel MCU one. I think that's actually a really good idea. Anything they can do to sort of bring some consistency to the Sony Spider-Man universe, I think is important, just because of how tight and well done everything is on the Marvel side. Sony needs to sort of get their shit together too. And 'cause, I mean, if they're just moving it again, I'm getting super strong New Mutants vibes from this movie, that they just don't want anybody to see it. Yeah. So I'm hoping that it's not that. It's the latter, or the former, I should say.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think it makes sense, obviously. Like, that's a tall order for fans to ask for spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home, if you haven't seen it already. But Andrew Garfield to actually show up in this movie, it does make sense. And I think, as you said, Kevin, because Spider-Man No Way Home at least establishes the multiverse concepts around each of the three Spider-Men, fans have been clamoring for Andrew Garfield to return. And, this world of Morbius, which seems to be connected to Venom's world, seems appropriate for Andrew Garfield to kind of come in. And to the point that you're making, it makes sense for Sony to say, okay, well, we can still do MCU Spider-Man stuff, but we can also do our own. I would like it if that's the case, but it seems like this is more of a money strategy thing, and also to just kind of delay this Omicron, because we don't really know Omicron.
And getting pushed to January is always a bad sign for a movie. So the fact that this got pushed to January but is now being moved further into the calendar year, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, the internet was pretty funny that day when the big push got announced and all the April Fool's jokes and everything that people were coming up with. But I don't. This has never been one that I've been really excited to see.
And that's my thing. I wonder again, leaning on that idea of the rumor of potentially adding Andrew Garfield. There's weight to that. You know, I think they know that they're not going to put as many asses in the seats as they did for obviously an MCU produced film. So if they were to put Andrew Garfield in it,
I think that would really help this movie.
It would help this movie, and it would help at least whatever they're trying to do. Like, some Eagle Eye fans have already pointed out the fact that in the Morbius trailer, we do see that image of Spider-Man in the background with murderer written across him. Now, having the context of knowing that Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker went through a dark past, it could be him. But yeah, comes out April 1st, 2022.
We'll see.
We'll
Maybe.
have to wait. Yeah,
Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe it'll just disappear. Maybe it'll get snapped away. Just turn into dust. But on the theme of movies that are being delayed or shifting releases, Pixar's Turning Red is ditching theaters to premiere strictly on Disney+. This article comes from Richard Lawler from The Verge, no relation to King Lawler. Disney has announced a change of plans for the upcoming family flick, Pixar's Turning Red. Instead of coming to theaters on March 11th, now it will premiere exclusively in homes worldwide on Disney+, but still on March 11th. As of right now, it seems like there's no plans for a premiere access, like video on demand setup that they've done previously with movies like Mulan. Instead, it's going to be available to all subscribers similar to the other Pixar movies from over the past pandemic years, if you will, which was Soul and Luca, which both hit the streaming platform. The Disney animation production Encanto premiered in theaters for Thanksgiving, and with a 30-day run, it arrived on Disney+. Kareem Daniel, the Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution chairman, made a statement about this, saying that given the delayed box office recovery, particularly for family films, flexibility remains at the core of our distribution decisions as we prioritize delivering the unparalleled content of Walt Disney Company to audiences around the world. So clearly this is a movie date sort of analysis. They're looking at it movie by movie and where the pandemic is at currently. But this is kind of bittersweet, right? Like it's sort of like I feel for the animators and the people that have, you know, really put a lot of effort into making this movie to want to see it in the theater. But I don't think that doesn't mean it can't happen down the road.
Well, that's what I'm kind of hoping they do with a lot of these movies that they've released over the last 2 years is when things return to a bit more of a normal pace and we can get to theaters comfortably, a re-release even just for a couple weeks of each of, you know, the last 3 or 4 animated Pixar movies would be awesome because they do deserve to be seen on that big screen. I mean,
100%.
Luca was just so beautiful, and to see that on the big screen would be really, really nice. And yeah, for the animators and all their hard work to get to see, that's everybody's dream, is to see your work up on the big screen. And so,
absolutely.
I mean, it makes sense from a Disney Plus perspective. I mean, they're always wanting to get new subscribers, and so offering a big Pixar movie for free as part of the subscription will probably help see their numbers go up again in March. I mean, they've kind of been doing this since the launch of the service, is
100%.
every once in a while giving people a reason to get on there, and I mean, plus the back catalog of 500. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't be subscribed to Disney Plus.
Yeah, we've drinking that juice pretty hard, so like we're but you know, I know you're a numbers guy, so you know, we look at something like Encanto that, again, like I said, was put out in theaters during Thanksgiving weekend, and it only generated 92 million domestically, and I think it was like 150 or more globally. And the budget was about 150, if not maybe a bit more in terms of movies. So it made back what it spent in making the movie, but for COVID times, that's pretty low. Like, obviously, when you compare to the numbers of like something like Spider-Man No Way Home, which obviously dominated, that was a movie that got people there. So, again, they're not wrong for saying that delayed box office recovery, because people are being smart about what they're going to go and see. And I also think, though, if they're making this decision, it might not necessarily harm them that much, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
they're going to need to get 20 million new subscribers in order to equal a $200 million box office performance. Sure. I got to say, I'm almost surprised that it made almost $100 million. I mean, it wasn't marketed very hard by Disney, I don't think. Right. And so the fact that people did go out, it was a perfect time being over the holiday season. For sure. In a movie about strong family values and everything, that's a perfect thing to sort of release around Thanksgiving time. For sure. But yeah, so 92 million is actually even more than I would have guessed that it would have pulled in such a short, sort of very, hush-hush sort of theatrical release.
Yeah, based on what I was able to find. I can see that this makes sense. But I know, like, I posted on our Twitter, we're from Toronto. It would have been great to see, Pixar's Toronto-inspired story on the big screen. But alas, that we might have to wait for that. So, and right now, obviously, Twitter is a disaster of a place in terms of when you post things. And I immediately got a reaction from someone that was just like, "Well, this isn't great for Canadians, and there's not many places and thing." And I'm like, I'm just trying to be positive in a very negative situation. I get that it sucks, so don't come at me. All right, I get it.
We didn't make the decision, people.
We did not. But let's move into our next story. And it's our last news story. And Kev, did you enjoy the Golden Globes?
I did not even know they happened.
Yeah, nor did I. I actually, I was online reading through Twitter, and I was seeing, Encanto, as an example, won Best Animated Picture at the Golden Globes. I'm thinking, Golden Globes? What is this? What is this? So I did some digging, and I actually found an article from Ilana Kaplan over at Rolling Stones magazine that is titled "No Show Golden Globes." So gone are the familiar banter hosts of Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, who presented the show opposite coasts last year during the COVID pandemic. Instead, after a year of controversy for the Hollywood Foreign Press, the party went off without any red carpet, no celebrity presenters, and in lieu of its signature ceremony, the Hollywood Press Association unveiled winners and losers via Twitter. They have had a very tough year, the Hollywood Foreign Press. I'm just going to kind of break down some of the stories. A lot of it comes from last year, the revelation of there not being any black members among the 87 voters, and especially last year with such heavy black-led films like Judas and the Black Messiah and Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods. They failed to receive nominations for Best Pictures at the 2021 ceremony, which sparked immense amount of outrage and just a lot of people doing digging and kind of unraveling this. A few months later, NBC announced it would not broadcast the 2022 Golden Globes, and several other networks and streaming services with ties to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association severed that. And this was a fun fact: Tom Cruise gave back the 3 Golden Globes he'd won. I don't know if that's true, but she put it in her article, and I thought that was quite funny. But needless to say, they are trying to improve their image. They're in damage control, if you will. In December, they had issued an open letter kind of outlining their plans and what they want to do, and being more diverse. But as Ilana points out, those who were nominated for this year were still fairly white. Kenneth Branagh's Belfast and Jane Campion's The Power of the Dog were top nominees in the film categories, 7 nods each. And then in TV, Kev's favorite show, Succession, led the pack, followed by The Morning Show and Ted Lasso. So yeah, fairly white predominant cast. I think the most diverse would probably be Ted Lasso, but there were some projects that did focus on people of color that did make appearances. Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story was nominated for Best Picture Musical Comedy. Will Smith scored Best Actor in a Drama.
Well, that's big. Is this the year he finally gets his Oscar? I wonder.
Well, also with that, we'll talk about it. But Andrew Garfield won Best Actor as well on the other side, so it could be the two of them going neck and neck. I also, most notably though, Michaela J. Rodriguez made history as the first transgender actor to take home a Golden Globe for her role as Blanca in Pose. So. Yeah, like it was pretty much business as usual for the award season, but it looks like, as Ilana says, party privileges are still revoked until they can get themselves together. It was really interesting to have to go through and see all of this through a Twitter feed. It was strange.
Yeah, I mean, the Globes are a pretty big deal, and I know we like to dive into awards maybe a bit more than average movie fans, but. The Globes are kind of that fun, casual award show for everybody, especially because and I mean, and they can tell you a lot about who's going to win. Like, it's nice to see Dune will likely win Best Original Score, as it won the Golden Globe for that, very deservingly so. And I mean, this is really the big time for TV to sort of get its recognition,
100%.
and so I'm very happy for Jeremy Strong again taking home. Best supporting, or I guess best lead.
Yeah.
Best actor.
Yeah, best actor in a drama, right? Because
Yes,
comedy
in a
musical,
drama.
I think, went to Jason Sudeikis again.
It did.
For Ted
Yes,
Lasso.
Both sides of that coin, I'm happy with sort of where most of the attention.
I was
seems to have
sad.
ended
I
up.
was sad that there was no love given to Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah, even just as a best comedy series, like
Yeah,
that,
or
I
like
could see
Steve
it
Martin.
fitting in.
Like Steve Martin, like he was great in that series. So I don't know. I guess if you're Steve Martin and you see you're going up against Jason Sudeikis' Ted Lasso, who everyone genuinely loves, it's like, yeah, fuck, I'm probably not going to win this one.
You don't stand a chance.
Yeah, so as you were mentioning, Kev, award season, well, it might not necessarily be the thing for the average moviegoer, but we're geeks, and Oscar season is around the corner, so we're going to be doing our annual episode. So look out for that.
Hopefully that doesn't just take place on a random Sunday night. We have to find out.
Yeah,
later.
exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, no Twitter feed for Oscars. That'll just be a disaster. But that's it for news. You know what? I think it's time for us to bring back that old banjo, because
It's trailer time.
all right, our first trailer is for Moonfall, directed by the disaster film expert himself, Roland Emmerich, starring Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, Donald Sutherland, Michael Pena, Charlie Plummer, and Wen Yu. There's no synopsis, but apparently there's a summary of what happens in this movie. So in Moonfall, a mysterious force knocks the moon from its orbit around Earth and sends it hurtling on a collision course with life as we know it. That's a weird sentence. With mere weeks before impact and the world on the brink of annihilation, NASA executive and former astronaut Joe Fowler, played by Halle Berry, is convinced she has the key to saving us all. But only one astronaut from her past, Brian Harper, played by Patrick Wilson, and a conspiracy theorist, Casey Houseman, played by John Bradley, believe her. These unlikely heroes will mount an impossible last-ditch mission into space, leaving behind everyone they love, only to find that they might have prepared for the wrong mission. I don't know how I feel about this movie, but I think it's
what they're talking about in that last sentence about how it's a different mission altogether is where this trailer lost me. As soon as the flying nanobot dust monster appears, I was out. I think
Yeah, I feel like this is the greatest hits of Roland Emmerich all rolled into one, right? You got you saw visuals that felt similar to 2012, to Independence Day, to even just like monster-esque style like Godzilla, right? Like there's just so many of these typical tropes. And it's so funny because I don't know I was trying to think about other directors that kind of fall into this sort of box of this is the kind of movies that they do. And Roland Emmerich is the only one that I can really think of that has even done it.
He is the most niche director of all time now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
He makes disaster movies and that's it. One thing I will say about this trailer here, it looks like he's having a bit more fun with the story instead of like the 2012 and Day After Tomorrow just took themselves way too seriously for the types of movies that they are, Like, it looks like he's channeling a bit more of that fun, freewheeling spirit that you would have seen in Independence Day. You know, John Bradley looks like he's having an absolute ball here. So,
well, he seems like he's going to be that sort of, you know, quippy, nervous, geeky.
He's the Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he's the Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, there you go. He's the Jeff Goldblum. And, you know, Patrick Wilson, I like Patrick Wilson, so I think he can definitely carry this. You know, Michael Pena is in it as well, so I'm interested. He wasn't in the trailer. But then you got Donald Sutherland.
He is when they're driving the car from one piece
of
falling debris to the next, which was the 2012 moment.
And you got Donald Sutherland being the, you know, the foreseeable, I know what's happening, you know, like the old man who has the wisdom. So, which all of these movies have. So, this movie is very, very directly saying, you know, go see it in IMAX on February 4th. Kev, do you think that's going to happen?
I'm not sure if we'll be able to
enjoy.
I don't know if I would, though, even if I could.
Exactly.
This doesn't scream to me, go out and spend $24 to see this movie in IMAX.
And there you go. So that comes the question. Like, this is where I feel like Hollywood needs to get smarter with what movies go where, right? Because I get the profitability side. Like, there's a whole bunch of numbers that we don't necessarily understand in terms of what goes in and what comes out in terms of putting a movie in theaters. But I feel like something like this, like, you know, Amazon Prime had something very disaster-esque called Greenland, and it apparently performed really well. I think there was another movie that they did with Chris Pine that performed really, really well. That's already being greenlit for a sequel. You know, again, I feel like this movie would have done better on a streaming platform, or should have been, rather than pushing it so hard for theaters.
But I think this is one of those movies that benefits from being on the big screen, you know?
Right.
Like a movie like Being the Ricardos is something you can watch at home on a TV, you know, smaller, a sound system that isn't quite as good. But I think the fun and explosiveness of a movie like this is really best viewed in theaters if it's your cup of tea.
For sure. Well, yeah, February 4th. We'll see if it makes that theater release. It probably will, but... yeah, it begs the question. Our next trailer, you know, again, we talked about Roland Emmerich being so niche in his movies. Well, we got another movie with Liam Neeson, very niche for what he has typically been doing since, I don't know, Schindler's List or Star Wars, which is the killer assassin style. So this one's called Blacklight. Aidan Quinn, Taylor John Smith, and Emmy Raver-Lampman. This is a story about Travis Block, a government operative coming to terms with his shadowy past, played by, of course, Liam Neeson, of course. When he discovers a plot targeting U.S. citizens, Block finds himself in the crosshairs of the FBI director who he once helped protect. Ooh.
Yeah, no, this is what Liam Neeson does now. This is Taken 5.
It's an easy paycheck, right? Yeah.
He goes in, he probably makes $10 million to point a gun around and talk to people in that really intimidating snarl of his. But this is Cold Pursuit. This is Honest Thief, The Marksman, The Ice Road. That's all he does now is these gritty old dude out for revenge sort of movie.
Yeah, gritty old dude out for revenge, played by Liam Neeson. Like, I'm pretty sure there's movies that have parodied this that he has actually played the parody character. I'm pretty sure that's been done somewhere. If not, that's a great parody.
That's a winner right there. Yeah, if you sort of spoofed all of these action movies that he does, he can fight a wolf and stuff. Yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, this one's also, again, at the end of the trailer, only in theaters February 11th, 2022. Again, I just feel like this one is better as a streaming movie too, right? Like, I don't know, even if, because of how recycled it feels, is it really necessary for you to go see this in theaters?
I mean, but I think there are just a group of Liam Neeson fans that just eat this stuff in up, Ireland. Right? I never saw any of these movies in I saw The Grey. The Grey was terrific with the plane crash and everything. But these ones where he's, an ex-FBI agent or anything, that never does anything for me. But I know that there is a contingency of diehard Liam Neeson fans. This movie will make back its money in a small little theatrical run, and it'll be fine.
You bring up a good point. They wouldn't keep making these movies if there wasn't people to actually want to watch them. So, well, good on Liam Neeson. Again, collect that easy paycheck. I'm all for that.
Oh yeah, I mean he's had a career resurgence with these. It's the best decision he could have made. He's been steadily working for the last 10 years because of these movies. So
yeah, and he doesn't seem to really it doesn't seem like it's really taking its toll on him. Like, we talked about in the Bond review for No Time to Die that, Daniel Craig looks weathered, but he puts a lot into those stunts, and we learned that through that sort of behind the scenes look that was on Crave or HBO. But that being said, it doesn't seem to have that same sort of impact on Liam. Like, he seems really spry and almost like he ages, obviously, but he's not aging like rapidly.
No, it's you if you lined up these movies and had me placed in chronological order, they all could go anywhere over the last 10 years. He doesn't really look like he's aged at all, and I think they're probably pretty easy for him to film. I mean, I don't think the stunt work is nearly what it is for a Mission Impossible or a Bond movie. He's just doing a lot of punching and pointing of guns. So, it's an easy day at work for the old guy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay, let's move into our next trailer, which is more of an announcement and a teaser for The Boys Season 3. Going to be dropping on Prime June 3rd, 2022. Of course, if you're a fan of the show, then you'll know. This stars Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, Anthony Starr, Aaron Moriarty, just to name a few. The show is from creator and writer Eric Kripke. This was interesting as a teaser. I thought it was pretty intense given the situation that we have at hand, right?
Well, I mean, with Homelander's constant sort of spiral into just pure insanity and darkness, this, you could just see he's dead behind those eyes, and just out for nothing but blood and mayhem. So it was very creepy.
Yeah, it was very creepy. It was, I think, to your point, it's hinting at the breaking of it, because we got to think too, where we leave things in season 2, and everything's going to become, revealed about him and Stormfront, and there's just so much that's going to unfold and come to light, and also, Huey and the crew are with that politician Victoria Newman.
Yeah, she's definitely going to be our big bad in this season, apart from Homelander and everything that he's going to have to go through with his kid.
Yep. Absolutely. There's just a lot that's to unravel. So, that was it for that trailer. I think that, again, I'm excited to see that. I think we'll probably do a watch club for that one, more than likely, just because it will be a weekly drop. And, I'd look forward to breaking that series down in relation to the events of season 2, because, I'm very excited for season 3.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a very small snippet. I'm sure we'll get a
but
full
it says
trailer
so much,
at
right?
some point.
It says so much about his character and what's going to happen here. So, well, okay, let's move into our next trailer. This one I'm super stoked about. This is for Bel-Air. This comes from the spec trailer, I guess you could call it, produced by Morgan Cooper, which basically reimagines The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's set in modern-day America. It's a 1-hour drama series, and it reimagines, as I mentioned, the beloved sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air through a new dramatic take on Will's complicated journey from the streets of West Philly to the gated mansion in Bel-Air. As these two worlds collide, Will reckons with the power of second chances while navigating the conflicts, emotions, and biases of a world far different from the only one he's ever known. This has a relatively unknown cast. So we have Jabari Banks as Will, Ollie Sholotan as Carlton, Adrian Holmes as Uncle Phil, Cassandra Freeman as Aunt Viv, Coco Jones as Hillary, Akira Akbar as Ashley, Jimmy Akingbola as Jeffrey, and Jordan L. Jones as Jazz. This is hitting Peacock, which is NBC's own streaming platform, February 13th, 2022. I was very surprised with this trailer. I knew what we were anticipating, but I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's definitely giving me some cool, fun vibes.
I know. I hope it's not, a CW level type of show. Like, I hope the writing and the acting and everything, the production is a little higher, like we've come to know from so many other great TV shows that are on right now. I mean, the quality and standards for television is so high these days that it is kind of hard to hit that benchmark. But specifically from the Jeffrey character, it looks like some pretty terrific acting. I was certainly the most intrigued by him and the changes it looks like they've made to Carlton.
For sure.
So he's not a pushover here by any means.
But he
so
seems
that
like
seems
he might
interesting.
be. He might be, because you put your head down and you just do your thing, right? And I think that's very much him kind of being that pushover and being suppressed. So I think there's a lot to explore there. I totally agree. The introduction of Jeffrey in this trailer, you get the mentor vibes right away. Like, as much as Uncle Phil is going to serve as this sort of, father figure, I think the life mentor is going to be someone like Jeffrey. I enjoy the sort of dark turn that they seem to be implicating with his past in this trailer, reminiscent of, I think, something that is actually much far more real. It's obviously, this is a dramatization as we described. So it feels like it's going to be a matter of, as it says, him navigating his own identity, being from the streets of Philly, being here in Bel-Air, but also understanding it through him being black as well, right? So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to explore, and if this show can almost refresh its approach on how we look at the race conversation, because that's very much what I feel like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air did in the 90s.
The original series was very groundbreaking in a lot of the ways it looked at racism and class.
Episodes, man.
Yeah, and so, I think this is the best way that they could do it is we're not going to see Carlton doing any Tom Jones dancing. No. There's no, cabbies with license plates that say Fresh and Dice in the mirror. Like, this is going to be a lot more serious in tone, I think, and that's probably the right lens to sort of use to explore these issues.
But I will say this, when we talk about total recast, and this is very much that. You guys harp on me all the time for my Danish interpretation of Friends called Pals, which is, it was very out there. But I think that the idea of what this show is doing, I think that's where I was trying to go with Friends, is maybe trying to reimagine it for contemporary times, make it relative, so on and so forth. So very excited for that. February 13th.
Now, how are we going to watch this here in Canada? How does a Canadian watch a Peacock show?
Well, that's actually a great question. From what I was able to find online, it looks like Chorus, a distribution channel here in Canada, I believe has partnered with Peacock to distribute some of their shows. So I'm thinking it'll show up somewhere on one of these channels, like Showcase or something like that. So very exciting.
No, but of the three we looked at, that is certainly the one that I think has the most potential and is the most worthwhile to sort of check out and see what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for trailer time. And as we wrap up, I thought it would probably be best time now to sort of acknowledge what seems to be a week of losses, starting with the iconic Betty White, who died at 99, 17 days before her 100th birthday. And, she was such an icon and was pretty much seen it all. And she was just such a pop culture icon, right? So weird way to start the year off with her loss.
It's just crazy to think that, Betty White seemed old to me when I was a kid watching her in Golden Girls, and that was almost 40 years ago. Like, that's just unbelievable. And she went on to have a great career with Hot in Cleveland, and she had staying power. One of the funniest, comedians to ever grace the small screen. She was a legend. She's just, one of the funniest actors to ever do it. She knew exactly what she had, and she brought it like nobody else before her.
She lived a long life, man. Like you said, like to be we were like 10 when Golden Girls was a thing, right? And, to your point, to recognize that, she was an older lady, right? But she has spanned so many different times and has adapted, like even to the point of where you see her in The Proposal Is it The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds?
Sure.
Right, and she plays Ryan Reynolds' grandma. Thinking back, like just how outlandish sometimes her acting would go. She would go there, right? She had that comedian spirit to kind of take it to the next level. So
she was absolutely terrific in Lake Placid as the old lady who's feeding the alligator.
Absolutely.
She was great in that one.
Yeah, that was awesome. But with that as well, Sidney Poitier passed away on January 6th, and he died at the age of 94. This was obviously iconic for a multitude of reasons, being one of the first African American to win an Academy Award, and he was seen as a trailblazer for the Black community within acting, and a lot of people looked up to him. It was incredible to see the messages from Denzel Washington, the tweet from Morgan Freeman, just taking the time to acknowledge the impact that someone like Sidney Poitier had on their career, and them being able to do what they do.
Absolutely, just another great example of a trailblazer, fighting against stereotypes and oppression in the industry to really carve out a legacy as one of the great actors. And probably one of the best moments in Oscar history came 38 years after he won, and he received an honorary Lifetime Achievement Award on the same night that Denzel became just the second African American actor. And they have a really cool exchange at that moment, and it's generations of history being celebrated that evening. So that was really, really cool for sure. I remember that to this day.
Well, they always say it comes in threes. So this weekend, the third death that happened here was Bob Saget, passing away at 65, found in his hotel room in Florida while he was on the road doing a new stand-up. This one hurt. This one really hurt. Danny Tanner is forever the TV dad for so many 90s kids. I think as oddball as he has been called out to be for his comedy and just, Danny Tanner was a different part of Bob Saget, which is very real, a very loving, caring father, and he is remembered by his family, who he cared very dearly about. So, this one was a hard one to
definitely in my opinion. Not that any death isn't incredibly tragic, but just
obviously,
to think of how young he was, and apparently he had just spoken with his wife on the phone a couple hours before he passed, and he seemed to be doing just fine. And so I'm sure this one was quite surprising, not just for us, but especially those closest to him. But it is pretty amazing that as a comedian, he has a legacy of being one of the dirtiest minds out there. And yet for a generation of kids like us, he was either, the ideal TV dad or, America's Funniest Videos,
yes,
absolutely. So it's funny how he was able to have two different sort of niches.
I've been seeing the meme go around. He was bringing cat videos to us before YouTube, so it's very true. He definitely impacted that. But no, you're absolutely right. I've always seen him as the squeaky clean Danny Tanner, and when I saw him, the odd cameo appearances he had in Entourage, so random, right? But he was always just like, it was so funny because it felt like when you were talking to him, he was Danny Tanner, but then there's just like this oddball weird sense to him, and it's just like, you're weird, man.
Yeah, I think he was a strange dude, and he has a great cameo in Half Baked at the drug rehab center there. I probably couldn't quote his famous line from that movie on this podcast, but if you know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely a very interesting guy to sort of have be known for two very different sort of tones, if you will.
Yeah, it's crazy that at 65 he's gone, so too soon. But on that down note, I think it's time to wrap up this episode. Well, that is it for This Week in Geek. Thanks for tuning in wherever you listen to podcasts. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and leave us a glowing review. We always appreciate the love. You can also reach out to us. Ask us any questions about the news and trailers shared today or anything of sorts around what we cover. To do so, you can reach us by email at wearegeekcentric at gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com, or on Twitter at geekcentricyt, or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric. Keep in mind, we have a ton of other episodes covering a variety of other content, and new content always coming out, such as our ongoing watch club for the Book of Boba Fett. And early next week, we know we're a bit late, but we're doing a best of 2021 with just two categories: Best TV Show, Best Movie, and there might be a question or two, bonus round. We'll see. But it's going to be a tough selection from 2021, given that everyone else who's done recaps has talked a lot about the variety of movies. So narrowing it down to one, that should be fairly interesting. And also, as we mentioned earlier, down the road, we will have our annual Oscar coverage where we predict who will win the coveted award. Like Kevin said, hopefully it doesn't float by us like a tweet. We got some reviews in between all of that. So be sure to subscribe. But until then, Kev, thanks for joining me for This Week in Geek.
Thank you. It was nice to get back to our root. It certainly was a newsworthy start to 2022, and hopefully we'll just have that much more news and stories and trailers and everything to explore.
Absolutely. It will not be our last. So, as we say,
stay home safe, guys.
Peace.